welcome back to the What Happened YouTube channel, The Mysterious World of History. In this video, we'll take an in-depth look at December 9th. This video details the events that unfolded around the world on December 9th. If you like the video, we'll give you a like to show your support. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Let's unravel the dusty past of history together. Now, enjoy the video.
Have you ever stopped to think about how much history can be packed into a single 24-hour slice of time? Well, we're about to do just that. We're taking one day, December 9th, and using it as a kind of time machine to see just how much the world can change. It's pretty amazing what one day can show us. So get this, the fall of an ancient empire, a mind-blowing medical breakthrough, and a royal scandal that had the whole world watching. What in the world could possibly connect these things? It's not a trick question. The answer is the date. They all happened on December 9th. It really shows you that history isn't just one straight line. It's this incredible web of stories all happening at once. All right, let's start with the big stuff. I'm talking about the kind of events that literally redraw the map of the world. On this single day, across different years, we saw old empires begin to crumble and brand new nations take their first breath. These were huge power shifts that really defined the 20th century. So here's our roadmap. 3 massive moments, all landing on December 9th. You've got an empire losing its grip, a country celebrating its freedom, and a political system starting to completely fall apart. Let's dive into each one. Our story starts in the middle of World War I. The year is 1917, and in the historic city of Jerusalem, something is about to happen that will send shockwaves across the globe and completely change the future of the Middle East. On this day, after 400 years, think about that, 4 centuries, the Ottoman Empire's rule over Jerusalem came to an end as the city surrendered to British forces. This wasn't just another battle won. It was a huge symbolic blow that really signaled the beginning of the end for the entire Ottoman Empire. Okay, now let's jump forward exactly 44 years to the same date, December 9th. The story completely flips. We go from the end of an empire to the birth of a brand new nation. We're leaving behind an old world and stepping right into the dawn of a new one. In 1961, it was a day of pure celebration and joy in East Africa as Tanganyika won its independence from Great Britain. With their first Prime Minister, Julius Nyerere, leading the way, it was a moment filled with so much hope. And, this new nation would eventually join with Zanzibar to become the country we know today as Tanzania.
And now, one more leap, this time to 1990. The Cold War is on its last legs, and on December 9th, an election in Poland doesn't just change the country, it sends a tremor through the entire communist world, signaling that a massive change is coming.
And the man at the center of it all was Lech Wałęsa, this incredible leader of the Solidarity movement. He won Poland's first direct presidential election in a total landslide. And this was so much more than just a political victory. It was a powerful symbol that democracy could win, and it helped speed up the collapse of the whole Soviet bloc. As the world map was changing, so were the actual rule books for how we live together. But what happens when you need new rules? Well, on December 9th, we see humanity wrestling with exactly that. From big ideas about church and state, to trying to define a crime so awful it needed a new word. So back in 1905, on December 9th, France made a really bold statement. They passed a law that established what they call laïcité, which is basically secularism. It formally separated church and state. And that idea of government neutrality and religion has been a core part of French identity ever since. And now, we have to turn to a much darker moment. After the horrors of the Holocaust, the world was struggling with an impossible question. How do we even begin to make sure something like that never, ever happens again? On December 9th, 1948, the United Nations tried to answer. This was a landmark moment for justice. The UN's Genocide Convention finally put a name to the unspeakable, creating a legal definition for the crime of genocide. It was a promise, made before the entire world, to hold people accountable. It was a vow of never again. But of course, new laws don't just magically end conflict. On December 9th, 1987, the First Intifada began. And as you can see, how you view this event really depends on your perspective. For Palestinians, it was the Intifada, an uprising against what they saw as Israeli occupation. For Israelis, it was a major security crisis with widespread riots that needed a military response. It was an event that would fundamentally change the conflict for decades to come. All right, For our last section, we have two stories from December 9th that could not be more different. One is a story of humanity coming together to achieve the impossible, and the other is a very personal drama that played out on the world stage, shaking one of the oldest institutions to its core.
Look at that. Just one word. Zero. What could that possibly mean? Well, on December 9th, 1979, the World Health Organization announced something absolutely incredible, something many people thought could never be done. It was a true victory for all of humanity.
They declared that smallpox, a disease that had killed millions upon millions of people for thousands of years, was officially gone, eradicated from the planet. It was the very first time humans had completely wiped out a disease. I mean, what an unbelievable achievement, and proof of what we can do when we all work together.
But then, just 13 years later on that same calendar day, a very different kind of announcement grabbed the world's attention. This one was delivered in the formal, stuffy language of Buckingham Palace, and it set off an absolute media firestorm.
The news that Prince Charles and Princess Diana were separating was so much more than just gossip. It became a massive international story that completely changed how people around the world saw the British monarchy, an institution that had seemed untouchable for centuries.
So, after all that, what can we take away from looking at just one day? Well, it shows us that history is this amazing mix of endings and new beginnings. It's filled with stories of terrible conflict, but also moments of incredible cooperation. And it happens everywhere, from the biggest world stages down to the most personal parts of our lives.
And that brings us to today. Right now, we can look back and see what made December 9th so important in the past. But what's happening at this very moment that future generations will look back on? What story is being written today? What will this day be remembered for?